Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our live stream from Firaxis Games. I'm Pete Murray, and I'm joined today by Sid Meier, here to talk to us today about Sid Meier's Starships. Sid, thanks for coming back on again.
It's great to be back.
So, Sid, up to this point, we've spent a lot of time talking about the tactical game. First two live streams, we kind of went into what the game was and how the tactical section works. Last week, you had a really cool talk with Jake about how combat is the heart of both Starships and XCOM. But both games, Starships and XCOM, have this strategy layer that really kind of helps ground what those missions are about and what you're doing with them and gives you a sense of judging your progress within the game. So would you be good this week with talking a little bit about the strategy level of Starships?
Sure, that sounds like a great idea. Great idea, Pete.
So
and welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you were with us 2 weeks ago, we went into the combat system and the missions and spent a lot of time. And you may have noticed that Pete stepped out for a cup of coffee and never came back. Kind of concerned about him.
It was just a misunderstanding.
It's a little misunderstanding. He's back. We're happy to have him back. Thank you for your cards and letters. I know Pete appreciates it.
I did. The flowers were really nice. Thank you, guys. So let's go ahead and jump into the game real quick.
Yeah, I thought we'd start from the beginning and basically go pretty deep into the strategy level of the game. We've had some requests to see the Harmony ships, so why don't we go with Harmony this week?
Sounds good.
And maybe Suzanne Fielding here, kind of an economic.
Well, one of her abilities is that she generates credits per city each turn, and cities are part of what we talk about in the strategy level of the game.
Exactly.
So that will be key to this. So we'll go ahead and.
Maybe a medium-sized galaxy.
You want to bump the difficulty up, or you want to leave it on easy? No, we're going to leave it on easy. Okay, all right, sounds good. Let's jump right in.
All right. Now, as you remember, we start this game just having kind of colonized this world in this galaxy. We've finally been able to create starships that are able to travel from one star system to another, and we've just received a message from another planet, other survivors of this seeding that started this whole adventure that we're on, that there's some sort of trouble. There's trouble out there in the galaxy, and we now have these starships that are going to kind of help bring peace and harmony to the galaxy. Harmony, yeah, we're Harmony.
We are Harmony.
We're all about harmony.
Can you mouse over our homeworld for a second?
Certainly.
Okay. One of the things that I think people might want to know is that when you mouse over a world, you do get to see what is already built on that world, and each one of those icons corresponds to something that is existing on that planet itself.
Right. Those are the improvements that you've built on your planet, and this is our home planet, so we've already got quite a few improvements going on here. Kind of the fundamental units of the strategy game are these resources up here.
Yep.
Energy, which is what you use to build your starships primarily. Metals, which you can use to build improvements to your planets. You can build wonders. Food, which is used to increase your population, build additional cities.
You've got science there
science,
too.
Of course, science, which is used to research new technologies.
All the way on the right there is credits. Yeah.
Which, since we're Suzanne Fielding, we've already generated some credits based on the number of cities that we control, and these can be used to buy and sell cool stuff throughout the course of the game. We can see that our home planet is currently generating 1,000 energy, 1,000 science, 1,000 metals, 1,000 food. These are going to be resources that we can use to build infrastructure to expand our federation as we continue through the game.
And not shown is the fact that because we're fielding, we're going to be generating those additional credits each turn. And she's the only leader who can generate credits on her own. The other ones have to sell resources in order to get credits.
Credits are occasionally the reward for completing a mission. Credits can be bought and sold at the market, but yeah, she has the ability to generate them on her own. So
we got one world over there, and it's Hercules 80. But there's some information there that is useful for us that gives us a lot about that world right away, even before we get to it.
Right. In the strategy layer, you're really kind of concerned about what are the special abilities at each planet, and how are they going to help me to kind of build a unique federation as I expand throughout the galaxy here. So at this planet, science is something that can be emphasized.
And we know that word knowledge underneath it is the descriptor of the world. That's the thing that planet does particularly well.
Exactly, and that's laid out in a little more detail as you mouse over the planet.
But the biome also influences what the planet produces, correct?
Right. Each different kinds of biomes might allow you to produce more energy or more science, more food. That's also a unique characteristic of the different planets.
And so let's go over, and we should
help these people.
Help these poor people.
Herculeans.
You wouldn't think Hercules would need help, but
so Duel at Dawn here, we kind of went into a lot of detail 2 weeks ago of the different mission types, all the different strategies and tactics that you might use, what you're going to run into. So today we're going to use a kind of a special ability that we built into this version of the game only.
Okay.
Which allows us to to win the missions instantaneously. Now that is definitely not something that's built into the actual game, because a big part of the fun is actually playing out the various missions, taking your starships into battle, customizing them, et cetera. But just for today's demo, to kind of make some good progress through the strategy layer, we're going to use our special ability here. So,
amazing.
Wow, we Duel at Dawn, done.
Okay.
So we collect the reward for completing the mission. And even more important, we're starting to generate influence. We see, if we look at this planet, we now have two portions of the circle are filled in with blue, which means we have 50% of the total influence on this planet. Half of the people on this planet believe in us. They're ready to join our federation. And if we can acquire all 4 of the rings, then this planet will become part of our federation. The other thing that's happened here is we've revealed other planets that are out there. And they each have a unique ability. Here we can add cannon to our starships at a reduced cost.
Right.
This planet is very able to produce a lot of food. Work bots here, they can build improvements very quickly. So let's kind of talk about improvements, for example.
Cool. So now that we've established some connection, we have some trade, we have 50% of the population of Hercules supporting us, this might be a good candidate to start investing metals in improving this planet.
Exactly. With one level of influence, we get to see the neighboring planets, which is what we're seeing here. We're getting information. We have an ambassador there.
Right.
And he's telling us what's happening in the neighboring planets. With 2 influence, which is what we have here, we've established a trade route. And we are accumulating half of the resources that are produced at this planet.
Okay.
If we get to 3 influence, we get all the resources that they have. And with 4 influence, it becomes part of our federation, and our starship will automatically defend that planet if it's attacked by other civilizations. So as part of the progression is to really develop this influence around the galaxy. So we're seeing here that this planet is especially good at producing knowledge, science.
Yes. So it's producing double the amount of science that it would normally, and that's a result of having that knowledge kind of bonus to it. Right. But I also see it's pretty good at metals, and that's the fact that it's an arid world, so it's producing extras on that.
The biome. So we might say this would be a good place to kind of reinforce its ability to produce science. So we'd go here to the
build improvements.
And we see the different improvements that are available. If we want to improve their ability to produce energy, for example, science, metals, food.
Yep.
In this case, science. So right now they're producing 300 per turn.
If you go down 1, you'll be at the crypto lab, and that'll bump it up from 300 to 450, which is pretty good.
Crypto lab operational.
And now, if we wanted to upgrade that again, it would require 1,000 metals, which we don't have, but we do have 800. Would you, at this point, maybe put an auto plant on this planet because it's already producing a lot of metals as well, too?
It's also good at metals, so we might.
So we go from 225 to 337.
337.5. No.
Yeah. Rounded down. Yeah.
All right.
So we don't have enough metals to build anything else this
That
turn,
is
but
correct.
we did kind of invest it very heavily on this planet.
Right.
And we won't get any metals until next turn, correct?
Correct. At the end of each turn, we accumulate everything that we've been storing up.
But if you were sharp-eyed, you'd notice that up at the top of the screen where the yield totals are, the 1,000 energy, the 300 metals, that those pluses indicate what we're going to get on the next turn, so we can start planning ahead for that.
Oh, we noticed there's another civilization appearing over here. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So we might want to kind of travel to this planet to kind of cut them off a little bit, kind
Okay.
of make sure that they don't intrude on our territory. So we're going to head on over to Reticuli 57.
Okay.
57.
Again, another fascinating mission that we could play.
Oh, this is an asteroid maze.
Asteroid Maze mission.
Yeah, which you'll get to see what it looks like when you win that.
Whoa, look at all those asteroids.
Yeah, asteroids and fighters. That's
Yeah,
always
that's a
yeah.
tough combination, but
Oh,
look at
amazing!
that.
Amazing.
Awesome.
You won it in the first turn.
Reticuli
So again, we
57.
are accumulating the reward for completing the mission, and we also generate influence here. The mission was an easy one, so easy missions generate 1 influence for us. But
Right.
since we're the first starship to visit this planet, we get a bonus of 1 extra influence.
I see.
So we now have 2 influence. We're able to accumulate half of the resources that this planet produces. And this is a planet that's going to, I believe it's going to grow very quickly.
Well, they are able to increase their population using food more easily. But this is a good chance to talk about cities.
And
what that
food.
means. And food.
Food.
Yes.
Food is important. That's another one of our options here, is to build cities on these planets using food. And cities are the fundamental multiplier of all production. If you have 2 cities on a planet and you add a third one, all of your production is going to go up by 50%, because that's kind of the fundamental driving mechanism of creating all these resources on the various planets. So adding population, adding cities is really important to increasing the production throughout your federation here.
And it's going to take you closer to a population victory, too.
Right, that's later on. There are a variety of victory conditions, and population is certainly one of the most achievable of the victory conditions. So we we have 1,000 food, I believe.
Yeah, and it's going to
We
cost
can-
us 500 to build a city. And if I'm not mistaken, going from 2 to 3, that's usually 1,000. So it's half cost to
Right.
build a city on this verdant planet. So that's
Okay.
its bonus.
Right, so we will do that.
Okay.
Now, as you build cities, the cost for the next city increases somewhat.
Right.
So we don't have quite enough to build another city here. But we've substantially increased the production on this planet.
Could we buy some food?
That's an interesting question, Pete.
If
The
only
answer
I
is
had-
yes.
If only I had another 250 food, I could just pop it up on the planet.
Well, let's go to the marketplace here and see what the prices are these days. Yes, we can using credits. We can buy and sell any of the resources. So we might sell. Let's see. Let's sell some of our energy here, since
Wow. Yeah.
increase our credits.
All right, so we've got 621 credits.
Let's see how much food we can buy for that.
So that's going to give us 800, and we have 900. And every time you buy, you actually increase the cost per unit.
It's capitalism at its finest. If you buy something, the price goes up. If you
If you
sell
sell it.
something, the price goes down.
Now,
But-
okay.
but
So, go ahead.
So we now have 1,000 food, which was the price for building another city on this planet.
Yep.
So we can go and do that. So now we're up to 4 cities here. And if we're paying close attention, we'll notice that production has doubled from what it was before we started building cities here.
Right.
So, the other thing that we will get into later is wonders. But
You want to show buy influence. That's kind of interesting too.
that is something we could have actually used our money for here as well, is to be able to buy the influence at the planet. So if we're a capitalist like Suzanne here, it might be one of the tools that she uses to increase her influence on the various planets is to actually buy influence using credits.
Very elegant marketing campaigns to bring the people of the planet into your favor. That's the way I like to think about it.
All right.
So we can just back out of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we notice our crew is getting a little cranky over here. One of the kind of fundamental mechanisms of the game is that you can make each voyage as long as you would like, but your crew gradually loses their efficiency every time you travel between planets. One of your crew members becomes a little less efficient, and every time you go into a mission, two of your crew members will become less efficient. So you're kind of one of the interesting decisions is how far you push your luck. You know, how hard you push your crew before you go on the always desirable shore leave.
So do we can look up at our totals and we can see if there's anything else we want to do this turn. We've still got some science and we've still got a little bit of energy.
Right.
We could either set that aside and maybe go for a more expensive tech on the next turn, or really invest very heavily in our starships. We don't think we're going to be attacked. Maybe we don't need to slap some extra modules on something. So
Right. At this point, why don't we give our crew a little break? We'll go on shore leave. And this is when all of the resources that we've been planning for actually accumulate and come into our resources.
Okay.
This is also when the other civilizations get a chance to play their turn. So we're
So say hi to Purity Kavitha there.
yeah, she's.
Yeah, child.
And as we can see what her starships look like,
We agree.
and also the other civs are playing the exact same game, so we can see what planets they control, how much influence they have, what improvements they built on the various planets. Again, as our federation grows, you'll see them also adding planets to their empires. So
Right.
it's a good place to kind of check up on how they're doing in the strategy level.
There's Bolivar.
We're very popular today.
And he's got his extra ship that he starts with. But
Right.
he's only got his one world. And
Yeah,
he's hemmed in by the Marauders on one side, so he's going to have a rough go of it.
Interesting game.
That's one of the things that I like is the Marauders, who are kind of your nemesis through the course of this. They have a homeworld that you can attack, and it's got a population of 20.
Right.
So even if that doesn't catapult you into a population victory when you win, it's really just turns into this massive hub of production and energy for you later on in the game too.
It's a tough battle, but if you can win it, it gives you a real advantage. Another one of the kind of interesting decisions is where do you send your crew on shore leave, because you get one extra influence on that planet.
Right.
So we had 2 before. We now have 3 influence on this planet. Apparently our crew behaved themselves on their shore leave and was able to make some new friends.
I'm always so proud of them.
And now that we have 3 influence, we are getting 100% of the resources from this planet. So that's actually a great improvement. Now, why don't we look into buying that 4th level of influence? I think
I'm not sure we're going to be able to. I think it's pretty expensive, but we should look into it.
We should look into it.
Okay.
We have the marketplace, we're to generate at. So the cost of that is
2,000 credits.
2,000 credits. All right. Now we can actually go to the market directly from the screen, which saves us a few extra clicks here.
Okay.
And we're going to sell some energy here.
This always hurts me when we
I
do
know
this.
it's painful, but since we have the magic key to accomplish missions,
I guess so. I guess
we're
so.
a
When you
little
have-
less dependent.
Yeah,
on
we
energy
have the
than
win game when
than we might be otherwise.
Yeah.
So you can see our credits total going up there. And we can also see the price of energy dropping
Just
drastically.
dropping our opponents around the galaxy. So we're 2068 energy.
All
Stop
right.
selling energy.
All right.
Thank
now
you.
we have a lot of credits here.
Yep.
We should be able to purchase that
So-
final influence point on this planet.
So there's that button just to the left.
That's there.
where
Thank
are.
you.
Yep.
Thank you,
That's all
Pete.
right. That's all right.
Whoa!
Look
This
at our
planet
empire.
has become
Our
part of
federation.
our federation.
Not an empire.
That's right. Sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
No,
Federation.
it's my bad. I called
Federation.
it an empire.
We notice our borders have expanded, and it's really we're starting to actually kind of play kind of a map game here to kind of create our own territory, perhaps cut some of the other civilizations off from the really cool planets. And one thing that we might want to think about here, we talked earlier about how traveling from one planet to another causes your crew efficiency to go down by one crew member. But there's a way to avoid that, which is kind of fun, which is to build a special high-speed connections between planets. And that is the warp nexus here.
And it's expensive, but they really are cool.
They're very cool. So we see all of a sudden there's kind of a special connection here between these two planets. And as we travel back to our home planet, our crew remains fully functional in operation. So we can travel back and forth over a warp nexus at no cost to our crew. So
Sure.
that's a very cool feature.
But it has more than just an effect on the crew
It
efficiency.
does, Pete, and we will investigate that very shortly. We're going to do something very bold here at the strategy level. We're going to attack this fleet here, which is trying to take over this planet that we really had our eye on here, the cannon.
I love cannon.
Cannon. You get a
love
good
cannon.
deal on cannons at this point. So
All right.
we're going to boldly challenge them for control of this planet. Fleet action against their purity vessels
Now,
here.
we do have the option to negotiate, and if we had a much stronger fleet, potentially the other guy would back off and
That
say,
is true. We could negotiate. However, we have the magic key.
I like the
We
magic
don't
key.
need no stinking negotiations.
Like aggressive forward negotiations, I think would be good.
Okay. So, there we go.
Oh, amazing.
Excellent
Amazing.
work, crew. Now, since we actually had a battle with their fleet, it's a much more impressive victory than just completing a mission. And in this case, the entire planet has come under our control. So we've added another planet to our federation. And the ability of this planet is that when we're here, we can build cannons at a substantially reduced price, add them to our starships for less energy.
Right.
And as we travel to other planets and complete our missions, we might want to take advantage of that ability. Now, instead of having to travel back to that planet every time we want to build more cannon, what we can do is connect it into our network of
Warp Nexi.
Nexi. I'm hoping we have enough metals.
We do.
Excellent.
Warp Nexus operational.
And so now then, effectively, the distance is 0 to Norme.
Right. Since we could travel there for instantaneously, we noticed that these little brackets have appeared around the name of that planet, which means we can use that ability currently, even though we're not actually physically at that planet. And
Cheap cannons for everybody in the home systems. I love it.
Exactly. And there's a really interesting variety of different types of planets. And again, this ability to link them into your federation and use their abilities, regardless of where you are, is really powerful as the game evolves. And again, we can travel here without incurring any fatigue in our crew because we have that warp nexus. We might travel to Leporus 45 here.
Okay.
The special ability here is work bots, which means we can build improvements more cheaply because of the work bots that help us build those improvements.
Okay.
We also noticed that this is an orange mission, which means instead of one influence, we can generate 2 for completing a mission. Plus, we'll get the bonus for being the first civilization to visit here. So we'll
get a full 3 just for showing up and hitting the wind key.
Again.
So we're trying to help some refugees escape from this world of the Marauders.
Would be just an awesomely fun mission to play, of course, if we had the time to do that. But for today's purposes, we're going to kind of jump ahead.
Win the game automatically.
Good work.
There we
Amazing.
go.
Amazing.
Brilliant tactics strategy. We notice already we've got 3 of those influence points up here on the planet for completing that moderately difficult mission and being the first to visit here. Now, one other thing that's happened at these planets as they become part of our Federation is we've added the ability to build wonders at these planets. A wonder can only be built on a planet that you fully own as part of your Federation. But it adds a really cool ability to everything you do, basically, in the game.
This sort of exempt you from certain rules of the game, which
It changes the rules. It kind of gives you a focus sometimes. If you have a wonder, for example, that might make your fighters more effective, that might influence your starship design, or make your torpedoes more effective, or different things. So this is the Naval College.
So 2 extra battle cards, that just gives you more flexibility, more sort of cooldowns you can use each fight.
Battle cards are, they kind of are a special ability that often can kind of turn a really bad looking situation into a good situation. So having three cards instead of 1, which is the norm, can be quite an interesting advantage in battles here. We probably don't have enough medals to build these right now, but it's interesting to know. And what's kind of different maybe from other strategy games is that each planet has the ability to build one specific kind of wonder. So the only wonder I could build here is the Naval College wonder.
Right.
And here's another planet which is part of my Federation. If I want to see what I can build here.
Hyper launch.
Hyper launch, which is a very cool fighter-based wonder. My fighters get their full movement ability on their as soon as they're launched. If I built this wonder, I might tend to focus more on adding fighters to my starship fleet.
I really love starting with that one as supremacy. That's a really good starting wonder.
Now, my home planet, I can build damage control, which protects me from critical hits. So, again, different wonders might steer your strategy in different directions. And what we find in playing the game is different players kind of have their favorites. Whether it's IntelliShields or torpedo or hyper launch or whatever, they're all kind of things that you're looking for. You're trying to find a planet that's going to allow me to build my favorite wonder. They also kind of steers each game in a very different direction here. So.
Before we end our turn, can we hop over to Hercules 80?
80, whoa.
And, it's an orange mission, but if we are able to somehow pull off a win, we would be we'd be able to add that and then get all of those resources locked in, and nobody would be able to swoop in and take advantage of the improvements that we've built.
Excellent, good thinking. Plus, we'll get that free technology as a reward for completing the mission, which is
always a lot of
also
fun.
valuable.
Boy.
Apparently, there's some trouble with drones here at this planet. Have
Suicide
gone a little
drones.
bit out of control.
If I had a nickel for every suicide drone system that malfunctioned on me.
Of course, we could have a ton of fun here playing this mission, but again, for today's purposes,
In my mind, I am envisioning all of the fun we just had.
So now we see already we have the full complement of influence at this planet. The free technology that we were promised. Go with improving our speed of our starships. This is a screen we haven't really looked at too much yet, but we'll come back to that. Again, we've added this to our Federation.
Yep.
What wonder do they have? Torpedo.
torpedo boosters.
High-speed torpedoes, another very cool wonder.
There's also a stealth torpedoes wonder, which
There's
I'm very fond of.
Very cool. We might want to build a warp nexus here if we want to kind of travel here quickly. We notice our Shorely button is blinking here because our entire crew is about to mutiny.
Yeah.
So we better give them some Shorely.
I think
A little recap of the missions that we've already accomplished.
Chale Joe.
Again,
She doesn't know that you have the win key. She doesn't know. If she only
Apparently.
knew, she'd be much more
She would not be
circumspect
threatening
about
us
this prospect
yes,
of battle.
Yes, but we understand. We are prepared.
We are quite prepared.
And again, the other civilizations are playing the exact same game. They're traveling, they're completing missions, they're building improvements in cities and adding...
declaring war on us.
For example.
He's just mad because he has nowhere to go. Because you can't negotiate with Marauder. Actually, he has more space back there than I thought he did.
Yeah, this is a fairly large map.
Well, he's got the Shields planet, too. This week, I've been playing, just building two ships maxed out on shields and armor and engines, and assuming the damage is for lesser creatures, which is very, very satisfying.
Right, so he has the Shields planet. He's also a food-producing planet here. This is a fast-growing population. It's going to grow fast here.
And that primal worlds will grow regardless of whether you're building cities on them or not.
They're just going to expand and explode.
Getting them early is often very, very cool.
We're going to do one really bold thing, which you mentioned the Marauder Planet here with a population of 20 cities.
20 billion people crying out to be liberated.
Exactly. So since we have our special ability today, why don't we just go and take a look at what that is going to involve?
Keep in mind that conquering the Marauder homeworld is really one of the toughest things to do in the game, just hands down. Bring up their fleet.
Let's look at their fleet here. It's pretty impressive. They've got cruisers, they've got battleships and aircraft carrier. And the computer is calculating our chance of success in this mission.
Never tell me the odds. And these ships will just get stronger as the game goes too.
Exactly.
Because the Marauders kind of also undergo their own progression through the course of the game.
Yes, they get stronger as the game goes on. And so you're really encouraged to build up a pretty powerful fleet before you take on this fleet. Here we can actually see their fleet preparing.
Again, their day is
try this at home.
Yeah.
But
asteroid fields increasing. This is also a lot of fun as the asteroid fields get thicker.
Right.
And you find yourself.
The play field really changes every turn in this world.
That and the shifting asteroid fields. That's also good, I'm in cover. Oh wait, I'm not actually in cover.
So they've launched fighters. They've got all sorts of stuff going on here. This would be quick death for us if we didn't have
a win
magic powers.
Amazing. The planet is liberated.
Excellent. And of course, this being a very difficult mission, the rewards are quite generous. We get that to be part of our federation. We have a planet with 20 cities on it, and you can see how many resources are being generated there. Quite a few.
Go ahead.
Sorry, and the other number that's gone up here is the percentage of the galaxy which is part of our federation.
Right.
Has gone up dramatically, and that's one of the victory conditions, is to bring 50% of the galaxy into your federation, and that really involves all the different play techniques, building cities, generating influence of different planets, perhaps even taking over other civilizations. Speaking of which, probably as our kind of final mission here today.
Because taking out the Marauders wasn't glorious enough.
That was a step in the right direction, but you probably noticed that a couple of these civilizations declared war on us.
So we should defend ourselves against them.
We should defend ourselves against them, and These folks seem to be pretty convenient.
Just one jump away. Just a quick jump away.
Now, what the thing to really understand here, though, is that you can build specific defenses for your starship, star systems. And typically, you'll do that at your home planet, because your home planet, if you lose that, you basically lose your entire Federation.
Right.
So you can build megabots that are only available at that planet, but have a pretty powerful defensive capability. And I can see that they've got a couple megabots that they built.
Won't be enough.
We normally would not do this at this stage in the game, but just to kind of give you a flavor of how things kind of escalate and evolve as you travel through the strategy layer. You kind of want to give you a foretaste of this. Again, if we look at what they have to defend with, we notice that not only do they have the 3 starships, but they've got 3 megabots that are helping them to defend this planet.
The megabots are not pushovers either. I mean, they've got 3 points of shields and 2 points of hulls, so you're looking at somewhere between 100 and 120 hit points worth. You know,
Exactly.
3 laser. That's a good. They're not fast, but they don't need to be, because they're going to be hitting you very hard. And you get them for free. I mean, they regenerate between missions, so they get every time they fight, they get healed back up. So.
And with metal, you can build additional megabots if you want. Again, the computer has analyzed this battle and is a little bit pessimistic about how it's going to turn out.
Again, it
However,
just doesn't understand.
Yes.
Again, we've got to look at their fleet with their megabots and their starships.
Now, because the fleet is deployed elsewhere, the second and third ships will arrive on subsequent turns. They take a little bit to show up.
Exactly, depending on how far away they are. It may take anywhere from 1 or 2 to maybe up to 5 turns for the total fleet to arrive. Oh, we have a key here. Okay.
Yeah, I was Captain?
Yes. What were we thinking?
Okay, so Bolivar concedes and trusts us to rule with wisdom and compassion, which we will do, because we didn't blindly declare war on people without having a full picture of what was out there.
Exodus 60.
So now this planet has
joined
become
our Federation.
part of our Federation. And any influence that Bolivar had at other planets has now become influence that we control. And had there been any other planets in his empire, they would also come over to our side. So it's really an interesting evolution as the strategy game progresses, from completing missions to starting to interact with other civilizations, and then eventually, if it comes to it, actually having taking over those civilizations, which is how the progress really escalates as you get deeper and deeper into the game. We're going to notice that our percentage control of the galaxy has gone up again, and we're making some really good progress today. I think we're doing pretty well.
I think, we could probably just take the rest of our food and take out Kavitha and win the game, and that'd probably be pretty solid at this point.
So here we have a lot of options. Now we can build some of those wonders that we looked at before. We have planets that are really crying out for improvements, and we've got food to increase our population. We have science to do some more research, and energy to build more starships. So you can kind of see, as you get more planets and more resources, you can do bigger and bigger things, and your kind of influence and the power of your Federation is going to really grow over time. I think we've made a good start here, and hopefully kind of giving you a real feel for the different aspects of the strategy layer, how it kind of ties into the tactics and the battles and the missions and things like that, but how it kind of has its own story that unfolds as you play through the game.
Yeah. Well, let's jump back to the studio real quick, and we've got some questions from people who've been watching the stream. What kinds of victories are there in the game? We talked a little bit about the population victory, where you get 51% of the galaxy.
Exactly. There's the classic domination victory, if you can take out all the other civilizations in the world, and that was something you chose at the beginning of the game, how many other civs there would be out there. Mm-hmm. If you can take over all of their home planets, that's a domination victory. There's actually an interesting twist. If you choose the epic map size, which is pretty huge, then that rule changes a little bit. If you take over somebody's home planet, they still get to keep playing with the other planets that they control. So that really creates a really epic battle to control the galaxy.
Sometimes you end up with holdouts in a corner somewhere.
Exactly.
One little tiny world that they're living on.
And if you have the misfortune to use your home planet, you're not out of the game yet. You can keep playing. So there's a technology victory if you're able to get some of your technologies up to that maximum level. A wonders victory if you can build 7 of those wonders that we looked at. That's also another way to win the game. So you can kind of choose what path you want to go based on circumstances and how the game evolves.
So if you find yourselves hemmed in between, say the Marauders, which you're not going to be able to take out until later in the game, or a really powerful neighbor, then you can really focus on developing those worlds and pushing for that tech victory. Maybe having a small empire with really, really high tech and going for that direction.
Right. You may have the knowledge planet or a couple planets that really multiply the amount of science you can create, for example, and then you'd build those improvements that improve your science, and so you can really kind of focus the direction you want to go in the game.
And somebody had asked what happens when we get to 4 influence, but we talked a little bit about that. That's when they join
become part of your federation, and as we noticed with when we attacked the other civilization, their starships automatically came to defend that, even though they weren't actually physically at that planet at the time. And you have that same ability if you're somewhere else in the galaxy, and you're in one of your planets in your federation's attacked, your fleet will automatically come to defend that. If you've built some warp nexuses to kind of get you there quickly, that's even better.
They just arrive that much faster. That's pretty. Do affinities affect the relationship with the other civs in the game? So if I'm Harmony, like I was in this game, and somebody else is Harmony, are we more inclined to be friends with each other?
Actually, yes. There's kind of a friction concept in the game. So if your borders are kind of rubbing up against each other, it's going to cause them perhaps to be a little less friendly towards you. If you're at distant parts of the galaxy, you're probably not going to have that kind of friction. But another factor that goes into that is, are you the same affinity or different affinities? So 2 Harmony civs are going to have less friction than a Purity and a Supremacy, for example.
They never get along. Is there a campaign story, per se? Or is this just the actions of how you play through the game?
You create the story, really, in terms of how you interact with the other civilizations, where you travel, which missions you decide to take on. It's really, we start you in this situation where there's a galaxy out there with all these remnants of the seeding, different people on different planets with different, you've got the Marauders and the Pirates, all sorts of different groups out there, and the other leaders. So once you're turned loose in this world, you really create the story, which is going to be a different one each time. You might be allied with a certain leader in one game, and the next time they're your enemy. You might come upon the Marauder Planet early and make that part of your federation. In another game, another civ might take over that planet. So each game kind of creates its own story, and it's a story that you drive.
Cool. People are asking about the different kinds of ships, and we can get a little bit into this maybe another week, but we see different ships classified as different things: corvettes, fast corvettes.
Right. I'd recommend going back to 2 weeks ago when we really spent quite a bit of time looking at customizing your ships and the different systems you could put on them, and how that really could change your tactics. And so that's probably the best place to go is to look at one of our earlier live streams.
It's on YouTube. Go look it up. It's pretty cool. Does Starships use the Beyond Earth engine? I guess the graphics engine and the underlay for Beyond Earth.
No, we have our own engine that we use for this game that's kind of focused on the cool special effects. There's cool things called skyboxes that we can kind of create a different background for each world, and the way cities kind of change from night to day as the planet rotates. There's some really cool stuff in this engine that was built specifically for this game, and that's why we're able to do some of the cool special effects that we do.
Cool. And that's something you built with your team pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And then I guess our last question has to do with how large can the maps be? We talked about the epic map size. How many planets are there on the largest maps?
There are, I believe it's 48 planets on the epic map. Don't hold me to that. But it's between that and the ability of the different civilizations to kind of hold out in different corners of the map, it becomes epic.
Yeah, it really does. But all of the maps have some commonalities between them. There will always be a Marauder homeworld, for example.
Correct.
Is there always a Pirate's homeworld?
There's always a pirate homeworld. Each civilization will have its homeworld. And the mechanics of energy and food and metals and science work the same way, but they're all, it kind of changes based on what planets you have in your Federation, what wonders you have. That kind of will steer each game in a different direction.
Okay. Well, those are the questions that we got from you guys. Thank you very much for asking them. Sid, thank you for answering them.
My pleasure.
And we appreciate you joining us on the live stream this week. Next week, I'm going to have Stuart Zissou, who's the lead producer on Sid Meier Starships, on with me. We'll look a little bit more at the systems in the game, maybe give you guys a glimpse of the iPad version. That would be pretty cool. Thanks for joining us this week, Sid.
My pleasure.
Thanks for joining us this week, Twitch, and hope you guys have a great week.